Dante Nash, a graphic designer for the Milwaukee Bucks. I know that sounded way too like my professional response, but I'm Dante. I went to King. I graduated in 2014, and I'm a graphic designer for the Bucks. I always originally had interest in art. So originally I was an illustrator, right? An illustrator, painter. I wanted to do comic books. That transitioned when I got my first drawing tablet. So I've always been drawing on the computer. I would say art or creativity has always been in my life. Finding graphic design was something that came later on. But there were all of these programs that are out now and that are widely accessible that necessarily weren't affordable for me back then. So that's kind of why I stuck heavily into that illustrative route, is because that is what was available to me. If Photoshop and the cloud were open, I could definitely see myself getting into it sooner, but it just wasn't a thing. I had originally planned on going to art school, so I had gotten accepted into all of my choices. So I wanted to go to SCAD. That was my #1 choice, Savannah College of Art and Design, and that was $54,000 a year because it's out of state and a lot of art schools are private. I got a little bit of money from scholarship, so I was gonna debate going there, but Madison honestly was too good, especially with the grants and everything. So I just ultimately ended up going to Madison, but art was available to me still there, so I had to search for it, but it was available, and I'm really glad that I did, because the network that I got from it now, it built me beyond art. My first job, I would say, in design, NPS was hiring for some creative positions. So creativity is the general concept or term. What you gotta look for is how that translates to professional terminology, right? So I know I like to draw, or I know I like to create. What is that called professionally, right? So I didn't know what the job title I was searching for was. When I got picked up at NPS with that part-time creative gig, I started to learn what was in my ballpark. So I started to identify, okay, this is what a marketing specialist is, somebody who creates all the ads and the videos. And then this is a lead designer or a creative director, somebody who that's a bad word, but polices the content. They control it, make sure that it stays on brand. And then that connects all the way up to a CMO, or chief marketing officer, which you probably hear about a lot in these big-wig corporate companies, right? But then starting to extend my hierarchy or my matrix of what my career could potentially become, right? I never learned that, because you ask the begging question of, how is an artist going to make money? You try and beat this starving artist trope. And once I found my part-time gig with Milwaukee Recreation at NPS, then it really started to fold out for me on okay, this is my stuff, this is my stuff, and then this is my stuff. And then that's how I got here. So in Milwaukee Rec, I did good enough there, so I went to full-time, and then a full-time led me to the Bucks. You just have to shoot your shot when the chance opens up. And so one of the biggest things is that people emphasize is network. I didn't have that. And so my network, I didn't have any in, and if I did, they had already finished their internship or their job, so it was already closed. So I'm basically I'm hoping to go in. All of the work that I was putting in at NPS, I summarized it, and Milwaukee Recreation is the sports sect of NPS, so that kind of helped a little bit too. But then I'm just I'm gonna make this look so good that they can't deny. That's ultimately what ended up happening. They put me through this little creative contest or competition that I had to ball out in. That's what made me stand out, and plus I'm that type of person to go on LinkedIn, find the people who've held, from my past research, I looked into those positions. So I got all those titles, I searched them up on LinkedIn, and then I sent them a message to their inbox. So I'm just hey, recently applied to the graphic designer position. If you have time to just check out my portfolio or my resume and give me feedback, that would be great. And then just putting it beyond that job. So if you're phrasing it in a sense that hey, I just want your eyes. And I think that can go a long way with it. I've been a Wisconsin sports fan my whole life, and then it's just we've had some droughts. And so being able to recognize that is a thing, and then see it coming, you got to be able to execute on your passion while ignoring that on-court performance, because that can disappear at any time. You can't rely on somebody else to feed you your energy or your happiness. But I still would love my job, just because I enjoy creating that much. basically, and I'm doing the same thing right now. Like finding that motivation and reason to keep going and chasing it. And that's definitely to identify with what you want to do. And I say this oftentimes, it doesn't just have to be art. One mentee that I was talking to in a volunteer program, he's saying, I have a cutting grass business or a shoveling business, right? And I'm just like, take a picture of the lawn that you just raked or plowed or anything, right? And then just post it up like, hey, just finished this. Once you start to identify with what you're doing, your results will come naturally. So don't do it for nobody else but yourself, but then also make sure that you're being consistent with what you believe in, and not just because. Don't be deterred from what somebody else may say. Follow what you believe in. You're going to get better at it, and then the results will come after that. I'm Dante Nash, a graphic designer for the Milwaukee Bucks, and in the end, everything will be carved in stone.